also a faculty. I haven't been deleted. I'm also a faculty of this university. I used to teach law. So Professor Shivji and Professor Chris Minapita at one time, I am their colleague, much as they taught me. So it is with profound humility, pride, and a sense of academic nostalgia that I stand before you today at the University of Dar es Salaam, the historic home of renowned Dar es Salaam School of Thought. This institution nurtured a vibrant tradition of Pan-Africanism, critical anti-imperialist scholarship, and unwavering commitment to the liberation and an unwavering commitment to the empowerment of African peoples. It was here that my academic identity was forged, my legal imagination sharpened, and my lifelong dedication to justice, democracy, and rule of law was firmly rooted. In my capacity as the Speaker of the National Assembly of Tanzania and the President of the Interparliamentary Union, I stand before you today not only as a representative of a key pillar of the state, but more profoundly as a fellow scholar nurtured within the walls of the University of Dar es Salaam. I bring with me a message that must resonate far beyond this hall, Nkrumah Hall. Without academic freedom, there can be no democratic governance, no critical citizenship, and no sustainable development. Dear participants of this conference, we are gathered here for the next 4 days, not only to reflect on, but also to revisit the Kampala Declaration. I am mindful that today marks the 35 years since the adoption of the Kampala Declaration on Intellectual Freedom and Social Responsibility. From the outset, allow me to affirm that the declaration was never a mere footnote in African history. It was a manifesto, a bold and unapologetic assertion that African scholars and intellectuals must not only be free to think, question, and speak, but must do so with a profound sense of responsibility towards their societies. It was and remains a moral and political covenant, a call to action that continues to resonate across generations. However, the most pressing questions that confront us today are these, and some of those were shared by Professor Noe, and some of those were shared by the President of Codestria. Have we lived up to that covenant? Or have we, perhaps slowly and systematically, allowed the erosion of academic freedom? This conference offers a rare and urgent opportunity to confront these questions, not as abstract philosophical exercises, but as existential challenges that affect every classroom, every research agenda, and every facet of intellectual life across our continent. And here I had the words such as murmuring these days, that you intellectuals are actually murmuring instead of speaking out. I have heard the words such as silence of the intellectuals, which is deafening. Now that I serve partly as an academic, but I'm also in part of the political class of this country, I would say hearing the words of silences, I would say it's deafening out there when we don't hear you speaking, when we don't read from you, We feel left out. We feel lost. Why? You are intellectuals because you are intelligent. You are meant to think. When you stop thinking, there are no thoughts out there. So, in terms of what is academic freedom, of course, you will keep discussing that. And due to the limited time that I have with you, I wouldn't go into the discussions about that. But I believe in the next few days, you will have broadened that, not only to mean interference from the political class, but also from the state, but also from your own. And I'm saying that because having looked at the Kampala Declaration, I will just refer to a few. I'm not giving a lecture, I'm giving just a few articles. Article 16, and I quote, it says, "The state is obliged to ensure that no official or any other organ under its control produces or puts into circulation disinformation or rumors calculated to intimidate, bring into disrepute, or in any way interfere with the legitimate pursuit of the intellectual community." And then I kept asking myself, what happens when this is not done by the state, but this is done by your fellow colleagues in the academic spheres? And then I looked at Article 21. It says, "No one group of intellectual community shall indulge in the harassment, domination, or oppressive behavior towards another group. All differences among the intellectual community shall be approached and resolved in the spirit of equality, non-discrimination, and democracy." And I said, this is what the declaration is saying, but have we kept this to our heart as intellectuals, to protect each other instead of demonizing each other? Dear participants, this conference stands out as one of the vital platforms for the academic community across the continent to reimagine the future of African universities. Our universities must reclaim their public mission, a mission rooted in service to society, not merely to markets. Universities must resist the drift towards becoming corporatized institutions where knowledge is bought, sold, and benchmarked, but not lived, questioned, and or liberated. Today, I challenge all of us to move beyond thinking of academic freedom merely as freedom from interference. And here, state interference, censorship, political interference, I had it here. So, let us all embrace academic freedom as the freedom to act, to imagine, to challenge, to dissent, and to forge solidarities across our diverse African contexts. Dear participants, I would like to sincerely commend the organizers of this conference for honoring the work of one of our continent's foremost intellectual beacons. I am pleased to note that this gathering features the launch of a newly reprinted edition of Class Struggle in Tanzania, a landmark work by Professor Emeritus Issa Shivji, one of Africa's most rigorous and transformative thinkers, who has tirelessly thought and communicated his thoughts publicly. And here I would say to him, it doesn't really matter whether you agree with him or you don't. He will always communicate what he thinks. And I think some of us can actually take a leaf from him. The reprinting of this seminal book serves as a powerful reminder that our rich tradition of critical thought must never be allowed to fade into silence. Professor Shivji's work resonates far beyond Tanzania. It speaks to all those who seek to understand and transform the enduring structures of inequality, power, and liberation across Africa. Dear participants, I would like to conclude my remarks by reaffirming that academic freedom is not a privilege reserved for a few, but a democratic necessity for all. It is the vital lens through which truth is pursued and the firm foundation upon which just and equitable societies are built. As we embark on this important conference, I urge each of you to speak boldly, listen deeply, and collaborate meaningfully. Let us ensure that this is not merely a moment of commemoration, but a moment of renewal, a recommitment to the values that brought us here. Let this gathering reaffirm the Kampala Declaration not simply as a historic document, but as a living, breathing call to action, a call that echoes Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere's conviction that, and I quote, "The purpose of education is to prepare young people to serve society and to be masters of their environment." End of quote. Without true academic freedom, education cannot fulfill this transformative role. It is a call that resonates with Kwame Nkrumah's reminder that, I quote, "The independence of a nation requires the independence of its mind." End of the quote. Without intellectual freedom, the vision of self-determined African development is diminished. It is a call aligned with Nelson Mandela's powerful assertion that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. But this weapon loses its power when shackled by censorship and fear. May the legacy of these visionary African leaders and many others, including you, if you decide to make history by the short life that you have under the sun, inspire us to safeguard and expand academic freedom as the cornerstone of Africa's democratic renewal, critical citizenship, and sustainable development. The Parliament of the United Republic of Tanzania is committed to assisting the University of Dar es Salaam, but also other universities in this country, if there are any policy changes that you need to be made, and if you need any changes to any law that is impairing your thoughts or communication of your thoughts or your research, we'll be more than ready to assist. Colleagues, as I serve as the Speaker of the National Assembly of Tanzania, I also recognize the fact that there are a number of faculties from this university and other universities who serve in different positions in this country, very influential positions. I would urge the University of Dar es Salaam to use their positions to your advantage, if you so wish. That said, we expect in the course of the discussions that you're going to have to also talk about the fact that academic freedom involves communication of your thoughts in an objective way, not subjective way. That said, I have now the profound honor to declare the Conference of Academic Freedom in Africa, revisiting the Kampala Declaration, officially opened. I thank you for listening.